All right, let's talk about the global championships. Very unorthodox for the challenge to release half-ish, a little more than half a cast before a season is to begin, but they're trying to put out as much promotion as possible since the new global championship is coming up very rapidly, but we still have to wait on 2 spinoffs to completely finish up before they can give us the last 8 contestants. But not only that, they gave us some cast photos for the challenge MTV side, the MTV representatives, and we'll get into everybody. But first, I wanted to go through this article, this World Championship cast. I want to read the excerpt because I have a question for everybody. So let's read this. Some of the biggest stars from the Challenge universe are coming together for the franchise's first global tournament. The Challenge World Championship, set to premiere on Paramount Plus with 2 back-to-back episodes on March 8th, will pair a Challenge legend described as a notable veteran from previous seasons of the MTV series with a global MVP. The MVPs include winners and top competitors from the Challenge USA, the Challenge Australia, the Challenge Argentina, and the Challenge UK. Each pair will work together to win a $500,000 prize. The cast includes previous stars of Survivor, Love Island, and Bachelor Nation. Now, my first question, with the reveal of the MTV Legends, there were 14 in total, but with 4 spinoffs of USA, Argentina, Australia, and UK, with 4 players each from those seasons, that's 16 players. So how is a legend and a global MVP going to be paired up when there are extra 2 people from the global MVP spinoff pool? So is there going to be a purge in the first episode? Maybe there's going to be a purge and 2 people from the global side are going to be eliminated, kind of like how we saw with War of the Worlds, which that's where I'm kind of getting the vibe of from this global championship, is like a War of the Worlds type of vibe and style. Let's move on to a video presentation that I made. First of all, I just want to say that what I have is who is the representatives from USA. Then we're going to get into the representatives chosen for Australia. And then we'll get into all the MTV legends that were chosen. And I'll give my thoughts on them. I want to hear everybody else's thoughts on them. Who are you excited to see? Who are you not so excited to see? Also, I gave some alternates to each of the spinoffs. So from the Challenge USA, I looked at who they picked and I was like, okay, that's interesting. But if they were to choose somebody else from the cast, here's what I think who they should have chosen. And the same thing for Australia. I think I'm a little bit cool with who was chosen for USA, but when it comes to the Challenge Australia, I'm like, really? That's who we went with? I mean, of course you got to pick the winners, but there's another portion where I was just like, were those the best choices to play the game? Do I really want to see those people? Anyways, of course, for the Challenge USA, we have the 2 winners of Danny and Sarah going to be representatives from the Challenge USA cast. Of course, we can't say no to them because they won. They won their way in here. So congratulations to Danny and Sarah. I'm very much looking forward to seeing Danny compete on this upcoming season. What can he do? He's going to win again. You know what I'm saying? Maybe. We'll have to see. I mean, there's some real big legends on this cast. So congratulations to Danny and Sarah for winning in. So I have no qualms about them 2 being on the cast. This is where I scratch my head because we have Ben from Survivor, Sarah's BFF. I mean, I can't say I'm upset to see Justine. Justine is queen. And so I'm happy to see Justine going to be on the next season, the Global Championship. She made it to the finals. Ben also made it to the finals. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Justine can do. I guess Ben is fine being in here. Not a super huge fan to seeing Ben. I just wasn't too hyped on him. But these are the three players that I thought maybe we could have used on the cast. If not Ben, I was thinking definitely Tyson. People were very much feeling Tyson, but he was very critical at the same time of the challenge and the way they were competing and producing the season and the way they were kind of putting everything together. He made it to the finals. He was a very big standout. He was the narrator of the season. However, I can understand where he wouldn't want to do it because he was so like frustrated with the process and everything. Cinco, I mean, I want to see him on the main season of the challenge. So I always thought that maybe he would do a great job at like being able to play. Granted, he did not make it to the finals. So I guess you could say that, but there's already people on the Australia side that were asked back that also did not make it to the finals. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, he didn't make it to the final, so he can't make he could have made it. He could have been brought back. And I think they could have brought in Cinco. I would have much rather seen Cinco come in and play instead of Ben, in my opinion. And then if not Justine, which I'm very happy that Justine is on the season, I thought Desi could have come back. I think out of everybody, a lot of the audience thought that Desi was robbed because she made it to the finals. She got paired up with Enzo on a swim, and then boom, she was gone. These are the three alternates that I thought could have been in place if they didn't pick the other two MVPs of Ben and Justine. What do you think of the Challenge USA players that they chose? Do you think they chose correctly? Are you excited to see these four players coming back to play the game? Or do you think somebody else could have been picked as an MVP, a global MVP? And who would you have wanted to see? Would you want some of my alternates? Or would you like somebody else from the season? All right, we'll get to this, but it kind of makes sense, but we'll see. Tyson ain't coming back. Yeah, he did. He trashed the show so much. And you know what? Don't really blame him. I'm definitely not playing the Kiki drinking game while watching this season between Danny's wife and Australia's Kiki. That's a very good idea. I could care less for Ben on this season. All right, let's get to Challenge Australia, where I have a ton of opinions on this cast. These casting choices here, where we have, of course, the winners. We got Troy and Kiki, both winning. Troy from Ninja Warrior and Kiki from the Bachelor franchise. Both played strong games, especially in the finals. Congratulations to them. Of course, they deserve a seat at the table. They deserve to compete in this global championship. However, it comes down to who they picked as MVPs or global MVPs of Australia. They picked Grant and Emily. And this is where I have to say that Grant left in episode 8 and Emily left in episode 7. Now, Emily made a lot more sense because she's an Olympic gold medalist. Grant, I just found, was kind of whiny on this season on the Challenge Australia. I mean, granted, he has a family, so he's going to want to compete. He wants to play hard. I mean, you leave so many people left on the table, in my opinion, that were a lot better on the season, who ended in a much better place on the season. I picked Sugar and Brooke J. Now, Sugar did place lower on the season and left earlier than, say, Emily. She left in episode 6, but I mean, she was a hell of a competitor. And Brooke J was runner-up. She was from Australian Survivor. She's super popular, like, in the Survivor realm. I think she played a great game on the Challenge Australia, and she would have been incredible to watch here, in my opinion. So I think I would have definitely went with Brooke J over Emily. I just know that Emily, when we were watching it during the Patreon rewatches, we were all saying like, gosh, she kind of reminds me of Laurel. She has the notepad. She's tall. She has a no care attitude, and she's very athletic. So it's almost like the Australian version of Laurel, which makes sense why they would want her to be here, especially if she's an Olympic gold medalist. And then for the men, I mean, pick these two players over Grant any day. Marley, kind of like Sugar, left later than Grant by one episode. Marley left in episode 7, where Grant left in episode 8. So I just liked Marley's attitude. He was also super buddy with Troy. Would have been able to rekindle their friendship, and we got to see them play again. But Connor, come on. This man was like the MVP of Australia for a time. He was strategic. He was fun to watch. He was compelling TV. He was entertaining. And he got 3rd place. I mean, heck, I could have put in Kieran in here as well. He got runner-up at least. And he also was spicy. He also was very passionate and driven to win. But my first instinct when thinking about who was to come on to compete for the Australian side, I was thinking Connor's an easy one. Troy and Connor, representatives from this season, makes sense. They were the ones that had the most storylines driven from them. Yet here we are with Grant. I don't know. I think my biggest complaint is Grant. I watched him on his first Love Island season and wasn't a huge fan of him. And then come to find out everything was fake. And then he just didn't do a whole lot. To me, he just didn't do a whole lot on this Australian season. So now I want to hear from everybody else. What do you think about the representatives chosen from the Challenge Australia spinoff season? Are you excited for these 4? Who are you least excited to see? And who are you excited, or who would you have chosen differently as a representative if you don't like the 4 that were chosen, i.e. Grant and Emily? Who would you have swapped out? Do you like my picks, or do you have another pick? Troy and Kiki? Yep. Yeah. I mean, you can't deny Queen Kiki and Troy for sure. I like Sugar. Totally agree with your Australia alternatives. Grant was totally forgettable. I agree. He kind of pouted. Would have liked Connor over Grant. Wasn't crazy about Emily. Glad to see Kiki again. Overall, though, Australian challengers had more personality than US. I think it also had to deal with the editing and how they were wanting to edit in the style they wanted to edit, because they definitely got to show a lot more personality, where the US was very much being like, we got to just show the competitions. Mainly it's competitions, and that's really it. Let's get into the first one, Amber and Darrell. These are 2 champions. I'm glad they're going to be able to play together again on a season after the bond that they had, the connection that they had, the partnership that they had in Double Agents, and also the Challenge 38 Ride or Dies, but we didn't really get to see all that much talks or conversation between Amber and Darrell. But they're going to have each other's back, so I'm hoping we get to see some of their relationship and friendship throughout this season, as we didn't get to see it that much during the Challenge 38. And yes, everybody's excited to see Amber. I'm not a huge fan to think that she was pregnant on this season as they were filming, because somebody in the power ranking says that she is 5 months pregnant, and they filmed this back in October of last year, I think, which there's some overlap there. So we're going to have to wait and see how that goes down. Hope Amber does not leave mid-show because she finds out she's pregnant, a la Casey, Natalie, etc. Hopefully not, but I would rather her safety and her baby safety more so than worrying about how far she gets on the season. But I hope that she gets fair shake and gets to compete. And she seems to be doing very well with her pregnancy right now. So congratulations to her and Chauncey. I'm hoping Darrell can make it far. When it comes to All-Stars, he's been able to get to 2 finals, get really close to winning both of those seasons. And then All-Stars 3, his fear of heights were a little too much. And then he lost to Jordan, who is also on the season. We'll get to him very soon. And then in the Challenge 38, he lost to Amber and Chauncey in the Deep Web elimination with his partner, Veronica. But he's not going to be partnered up with Veronica this season, and we'll see how well. I mean, he's a really great partner when it comes to like Fresh Meat seasons. Fresh Meat 1 more so than Fresh Meat 2. The next 2 that I want to talk about, and that is Jody and Bananas. When I did a double take to see Jody on this cast, I mean, I'm excited. She did really well on All-Stars 2, which was the last time we saw Jody competing. She was partnered up with Brad, lost to Darrell and Janelle in the Smash House elimination. So close to the finals. And look at her now. She is here on the global Championship cast alongside Bananas, who we just saw in the Challenge 38. I mean, he took a few seasons off. He was rumored to go on All-Stars 3, then kind of pulled out to probably be on the Challenge 38 for a bigger payday on top of being paid the shared prize money from Devin and Tori. And now look at him. He can't stop coming on challenge seasons now. He's doing his second back-to-back. He's doing a back-to-back season now. I'm viewing this kind of in the lens that this is more or less like a War of the Worlds. Because yes, these players have played on a version of the challenge. They just haven't played on a version with other challenge MTV legends / players / representatives. And if they're going to be paired up with challenge competitors, I mean, that's 1-to-1 like the War of the Worlds. And Bananas didn't do so hot on that season. You know, he's coming in probably single because him and Mariah are not dating anymore that we know of at this moment. But Jody is a wild card. She is a really strong competitor. But like Diana Bean says, Jody needs a lesson on strategy and politics. I agree. I don't know what Jody will do with politics, but she is really strong competitor regardless. She was fierce on All-Stars too. I thought her and Brad were like a force to be reckoned with on that season, that nothing was going to stop them. I think both of them can do really well. And it all depends on where Bananas sits with these bigger name players like Jordan and Wes. What is the vibe between Wes, where the last time we saw Bananas and Wes were Skype calling each other from All-Stars 3 and the Challenge 38, but also they were working together in Total Madness. So if they're Skype calling each other, more than likely they're going to be working together. But in the same aspect, Wes, Jordan, and Bananas working together, they worked with each other on opposite seasons because Wes worked with Jordan to a certain extent on All-Stars 3. Jordan was working with Bananas on 38. But what's going to happen when all three of them are on a season together? Are they all just going to work together to get far? That's not going to be smart for them. If they're going to try to make it to a finals together, that's going to be really, really competitive. And I don't think a lot of people want to be running a final against one another in that sense. So I wonder when they're going to turn on each other, if they're going to turn on each other. And what does that mean for the whole competition in general? Will Jody not leave her lunch unattended this season? When she orders a Greek salad, she just needs to eat the Greek salad. Jordan and Janae, they did have sort of a fling with each other back in the day with Rivals 2, season 24. And since that time, Jordan has become a 3-time challenge champ. He was just in the finals for the Challenge 38, getting 3rd place. He lost to Mark in All-Stars 3. And Janae is coming off of winning All-Stars 2, All-Stars 3, and being a 3-time finalist, going to back-to-back finals appearances in All-Stars. But Janae isn't coming in as the youngest competitor. She's going to be facing some stiffer competition than, say, in All-Stars. Now, granted, I know people are going to say All-Stars 3 was a stacked cast. They had a lot of strong opponents in that cast list as well as in All-Stars 2. I get it. But this is a different kind of beast, in my opinion. It's going to be interesting to see how Janae is able to kind of be able to flow through the game. Will she be able to really latch onto a good social game and have as much success as we have seen from her lately in the All-Stars franchise? Now, Jordan is a little bit different. Maybe people will look at him as a very strong competitor that they're going to want to work with, or he's going to be very abrasive and kind of rub people the wrong way, which I can see both kind of vibes happening, to where Jordan maybe could see himself in elimination more times than not. But with Jordan being a strong competitor, he could possibly win his way in and out of eliminations, kind of like what we saw with the Challenge 38. It's going to be interesting. I think this is really going to come down to, because if it's going to be the same kind of format as the Challenge USA and even the Challenge Australia and the other spinoffs, it's going to come down to who is your partner and can you work with them? And if you get kind of a dud of a partner and then you get a really bad elimination, it's not going to be good. It's going to be really, really difficult to pull yourself out of. So here we go. Casey and Kellyanne. Casey, we saw, didn't get very far. We saw her be eliminated first time ever on reality TV in the Challenge 38, being partnered up with her brother Kenny and losing to Not So Fast against Jordan and Aneesa. But she is a finalist. She is a champion of the challenge. So here she is, now considered a legend via the parameters of the challenge and being on this challenge legends side. And then you got Kellyanne, who is coming off of getting to the finals in All-Stars 3, and she got purged. She got 4th place. She lost to Kayla in an elimination in the All-Stars 3 finals, and now she's here. And she just came off of playing with, Jordan, Darrell, Wes. So, I mean, she is connected from this cast, but will she be able to do Anaya as well? Will she be able to kick it into gear and do well? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think this is such an interesting cast overall. When taking an extra look and kind of trying to get the vibe of this cast, I think this is interesting. Some of the casting choices kind of surprised me, which I kind of liked, but also some of them were head scratching. But Casey's here and Kellyanne is going to be here, and a lot of people are already kind of saying, why Casey? Stay home, Casey. Trash can. Not one of my favorites, but I totally can see why Kellyanne is here. Fine to Kellyanne. Boo to Casey. I'm asleep. We'll see how Casey does without Nany by her side. And there's no Fessy. And there's no Josh. What can Casey do without the Big Brother Alliance? Here we go. Nia and Nelson. Nelson coming off one of his better seasons in the Challenge 38, despite not making it to the finals, but he won 2 daily challenges, and he was very personable. I mean, him and Nurys were seen as shining stars on this last season of the challenge. People actually liked seeing Nelson on the season, but he didn't make it to the finals. He did make it to the finals in Challenge 37 and wasn't doing so hot, calling a rectangular. I got a little bit of a Nelson hiccup there. But no, it was he was calling a rectangle a long square and was not able to make it to the second portion of those finals in the Challenge 37, but he had the best showing that he had in the past 2 seasons. This is not a long time in between Challenge 38 and this global championship, and he has some deficiencies that we have seen in his game still. And I don't think there's a lot of turnaround to where he could have worked on puzzles or riddles or anything like that. So I'll be one to admit that I am nervous for Nelson being on this season. We got Nia, who I think we were all wanting to see on the Challenge 38 being paired up with Jordan. Well, here she is after All-Stars 3 and unable to be on the Challenge 38. Here she is being on the Challenge Global Championships, coming off of her first final appearances in a challenge season. I'm hoping that she can really come in strong. Now, this is the thing. People were pretty upset when Nia wasn't on the Challenge 38 because there was the fights that were happening between Tori and Jordan. And if Nia was to be Jordan's partner on the Challenge 38, we saw them kind of canoodling with each other in All-Stars 3. I mean, that could have really stirred up a lot of drama between Jordan and Tori, even more so. Yet here we are. Here we are now. I mean, we just had some big blow-ups between Tori and Jordan, and here they are again being on the same season with each other. Will they be still bickering with each other, or will they be able to get along and not have these fights, whether they were staged or real? And then add Nia into the mix. What's going to happen there? Casey and Nelson can take the same plane home. They might. I'm interested to see Nia, Jordan, and Tori together. Yeah, same here. Excited for Nia, but wouldn't consider her a legend. Yeah, I can see that. I'm done with Nelson. He needs to take a break. I don't disagree with that. You think Nelson can practice remembering his age? Oh man, did he have a birthday in between the seasons? Because that's going to really screw him up. If Tori was struggling with Nurys, imagine how it'll be with Nia, who is close to Jordan on a friendship and romantic level. Yeah, well, yeah. And the good thing is that this is going to be all on Paramount Plus only. So we should be hearing some curse words. We should be hearing we should be seeing everything. He is going to be the first the MTV cast is willing to cut off. That is true. I mean, he came in with a lot more friends on the Challenge 38. I think Nelson could be looking out for Darrell, but then again, stuff that happened on 38 maybe could not work out very well. The same thing with Amber and Nelson on 38 could also play a factor into this game as well. So yeah, that's a really good point. This is the news taking the challenge world and social media by storm. No, I'm not talking about Tori coming in after she just won, which I'll just talk about Tori. She won. She won Challenge 38 with Devin. Devin is not on this cast. What can Tori do? Will she get far? Will she be working with Jordan? I'll have to wait and see. All very good questions. I don't have the answers. She doesn't have Aneesa, but she is pretty well connected. She is looked at as a strong competitor. So Tori is here to see if she can be a global champion on top of already being a challenge champion. But we're not here to talk about Tori because we just talked about her for like 22 episodes. But where everybody's excitement lies is with Theo. Theo is making his return to the challenge realm after being gone and not being seen since Challenge 34. Now, Theo did have, with having a cork hit him in the eye, and he had to recover from that injury, and it took a long time. There was a lot of speculation that he was in consideration for possibly making his challenge return to the Challenge 38, being and competing alongside Georgia. However, he was not cleared. I don't know if that is necessarily 100%. My conspiracy theory is that Theo was being held back, that they were like, he could make his triumphant return on the Challenge 38, or we could make this really, really big and save him for the global championship, which I think I'm so excited to see Theo. First of all, his picture is awesome. A lot of these pictures look incredible, way better than a lot of the other pictures that we have seen in very recent seasons. He looks bigger and better than ever. I saw a few clips of him on the more recent X on the Beach UK, and he looks bigger and better than ever. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Theo can do. I'm actually thinking Theo is high up on my list. I think these two competitors are going to be super, super strong on this cast. I mean, Tori does work well with a lot of people. She is like a chameleon and can have a good, strong social game, especially without Aneesa there. I want to see what Tori can do without Aneesa, because as we saw in the Challenge 36, Tori and Aneesa were kind of looked at by the rookie women as mean girls in a sense. And so without Aneesa there on this cast list, what will Tori do? Who will she latch onto? Who will she just want to spend the whole time with on this cast? And will she be a little bit stronger socially by having to like open up herself because Aneesa isn't there? She doesn't have that security blanket to kind of like fall back into her friendship with Aneesa and be like, oh, well, we got us two and then all the vets around us. So we got numbers already. I mean, it's going to be very interesting how she's going to play this game. And then I'm just excited to see Theo back. I think Theo is one of the strongest competitors, one of the strongest newer competitors, because this is only his third season. I mean, he's been on 33 and 34, and that's it. So I'm very much looking to see what Theo can do back on the challenge. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm so excited. And what a slide to end on. You got two strong competitors, two rivals from the Challenge All-Stars 3, but two people that very much respect each other and the games they play. We have Wes, we have Yes, and like I said, in All-Stars 3, they were rivals with each other along the way as Yes was looked at as the light side. West was looked at as the dark side. However, they face off against each other in elimination, and West got the best of Yes. This is exciting. This is so exciting. I love both of these men. I love both these men as competitors, and it's going to be very interesting to see if they're working together. I mean, honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing the dynamic of this house and who decides who's going to work with whom. I could see Yes just wanting to work with all the rookies because they're coming in without having any baggage. They're coming in wanting to compete. I can see a lot of people being like, I just want to compete. I can also see Yes wanting to work with Jordan because they seem to have like knocked it out of the park or had a connection and bond during All-Stars 3, where West was very skeptical of Jordan. Yes, he was working closely with Jordan, but also in that same breath, he was like, I don't want to face him off in a final. I don't want to see him in an elimination, which is very valid. You know, I'm sure Jordan wants to go up against everybody at their best, but at the same point, it's like, I don't want to see you in a final. And Johnny would probably say the same thing, even though he faced off against him in this past final and won. But then again, Jordan had Aneesa as his partner. So, yes, it's going to be difficult, you know? If Jordan has any other partner, he's going to be somebody to really be worried about, especially with not only winners from spin-off series of the challenge and then 2 MVPs. Like, the 4 people from every single spin-off is by and far leagues ahead of some of the lower tiered challengers on a main season of the challenge, in my opinion. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm not going to name anybody who I would claim or who I think the audience would deem as a lower tiered competitor on a main season. I'm just saying any MTV legend partnered up with a global winner or MVP, lethal. Just absolute, like, it's going down. I'm thinking West is going to be really strong, but all these players are really strong. Honestly, I mean, from the USA representatives to the Australian representatives, all the MTV legends, and then waiting to hear who's going to be representing from the Challenge Argentina, who are the 2 champions and MVPs, as well as the UK winners and MVPs. I mean, this season's going to be stacked regardless. 4 of the MTV legends aren't considered champs because they haven't won. And then Ben, Justine, Emily, Grant, as well as 2 Argentina players and 2 UK players. So is that 12? So 12 out of the 30 contestants playing aren't champs. And that means that 18 players have won a challenge season, whether it's a spinoff or a normal season. Wow. That is a lot. So far, those were the names that were released. We have to wait to see Argentina and UK wrap up to finally get to see who the last 8 competitors are going to be on this upcoming Global Champion season that's going to be premiering on March 8th, Paramount Plus only. Now, I want to ask, who are you excited for? Who are you rooting for? Who are you rooting against? Who are you looking to see go very far? And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.